And two other men came in upon their saddles, and the maiden treated these two in the same manner as she had done the first. Then Peredur asked the chieftain wherefore it was thus. And they told him that there was an Addanc in a cave, which slew them once every day. And thus they remained that night. And next morning the youths arose to sally forth, and Peredur besought them, for the sake of the ladies of their love, to permit him to go with them. But they refused him, saying, If thou shouldst be slain there, thou hast none to bring thee back to life again. And they rode forward, and Peredur followed after them. And after they had disappeared out of his sight, he came to a mound, whereon sat the fairest lady he had ever beheld. I know thy quest, said she. Thou art going to encounter the Addanc, and he will slay thee, and that not by courage, but by craft. He has a cave, and at the entrance of the cave there is a stone pillar, and he sees every one that enters, and none see him. And from behind the pillar he slays every one with a poisonous dart. And if thou wouldst pledge me thy faith, to love me above all women, I would give thee a stone, by which thou shouldst see him when thou goest in, and he should not see thee. I will, by my troth, said Peredur, for when first I beheld thee, I loved thee. And where shall I seek thee? When thou seekest me, seek towards India. And the maiden vanished, after placing the stone in Peredur's hand. And he came towards a valley, through which ran a river, and the borders of the valley were wooded, and on each side of the river were level meadows. And on one side of the river he saw a flock of white sheep, and on the other a flock of black sheep. And whenever one of the white sheep bleated, one of the black sheep would cross over, and become white. And when one of the black sheep bleated, one of the white sheep would cross over, and become black. And he saw a tall tree by the side of the river, one half of which was in flames, from the root to the top, and the other half was green, and in full leaf. And nigh thereto he saw a youth sitting upon a mound, and two greyhounds, white breasted and spotted, in leashes, lying by his side. And certain was he that he had never seen a youth of so royal a bearing as he. And in the wood opposite he heard hounds raising a herd of deer. And Peredur saluted the youth, and the youth greeted him in return. And there were 3 roads leading from the mound. 2 of them were wide roads, and the third was more narrow. And Peredur enquired where the 3 roads went. One of them goes to my palace, said the youth, and one of 2 things I counsel thee to do, either to proceed to my palace, which is before thee, and where thou wilt find my wife, or else to remain here to see the hounds chasing the roused deer from the wood to the plain. And thou shalt see the best greyhounds thou didst ever behold, and the boldest in the chase, kill them by the water beside us. And when it is time to go to meat, my page will come with my horse to meet me, and thou shalt rest in my palace to night. Heaven reward thee, but I cannot tarry, for onward must I go. The other road leads to the town, which is near here, and wherein food and liquor may be bought. And the road which is narrower than the others goes towards the cave of the Addanc. With thy permission, young man, I will go that way. And Peredur went towards the cave. And he took the stone in his left hand, and his lance in his right. And as he went in, he perceived the Addanc, and he pierced him through with his lance, and cut off his head. And as he came from the cave, behold, the three companions were at the entrance. And they saluted Peredur, and told him that there was a prediction that he should slay that monster. And Peredur gave the head to the young men, and they offered him in marriage whichever of the three sisters he might choose, and half their kingdom with her. I came not hither to woo, said Peredur, but if peradventure I took a wife, I should prefer your sister to all others. And Peredur rode forward, and he heard a noise behind him. And he looked back, and saw a man upon a red horse, with red armour upon him. And the man rode up by his side, and saluted him, and wished him the favour of heaven and of man. And Peredur greeted the youth kindly. Lord, I come to make a request unto thee. What wouldest thou? That thou shouldst take me as thine attendant. Who then should I take as my attendant, if I did so? I will not conceal from thee what kindred I am of. Etlym Gleddyv Coch am I called, an earl from the east country. I marvel that thou shouldest offer to become attendant to a man whose possessions are no greater than thine own, for I have but an earldom, like thyself. But since thou desirest to be my attendant, I will take thee joyfully. And they went forward to the court of the Countess, and all they of the court were glad at their coming. And they were told it was not through disrespect they were placed below the household, but that such was the usage of the court. For whoever should overthrow the 300 men of her household, would sit next the Countess, and she would love him above all men. And Peredur, having overthrown the 300 men of her household, sat down beside her, and the Countess said, I thank heaven that I have a youth so fair and so valiant as thou, since I have not obtained the man whom best I love. Who is he whom best thou lovest? By my faith, Etlym Gleddyv Coch is the man whom I love best, and I have never seen him. Of a truth, Etlym is my companion, and behold, here he is, and for his sake did I come to joust with thy household. And he could have done so better than I, had it pleased him. And I do give thee unto him. Heaven reward thee, fair youth, and I will take the man whom I love above all others. And the Countess became Etlym's bride from that moment. End of section 9. Recording by Martin Geeson in Hazelmere, Surrey.